we are good to go.
Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary. Oh my gosh. I love it so much.
Okay.
I love it so much.
Oh man. No preamp.
When did you watch it?
So I saw it. Let me see. I think I saw it a week. I saw it a week ago exactly. So I saw it. Yeah, okay. I saw it last Saturday night.
I saw it a day ago.
You saw it yesterday. Yeah.
Well, a day and 6 hours ago.
Yeah.
Which is why we're only just now making this episode about it, because I wanted to watch it pretty much since it came out, but I haven't gotten the chance because I was in finals and such. But oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's like, it's one of the few sci-fi movies I've seen that's like genuinely Interstellar tier. Like,
yeah.
Well,
it's like I want to go and watch The Martian now because Andy Weir is, apparently he's like, I knew about The Martian. Like I knew it was just a movie with Matt Damon as a guy on Mars.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I know about the movie, or the book, or either. The Martian's
very good. I think The Martian's probably close to I think Project Hail Mary is a little bit better than The Martian for me. That might just be recency bias, but The Martian is also very, very good. Very, very good.
Well, I was about to say is like, there's no way The Martian can match, Ryan Gosling at his A game. But then I was like, oh no, it's Matt Damon.
It is. Yeah, it's Matt Damon.
Like,
I
love Matt Damon. Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah. There's actually a really good chance that he can one up Ryan Gosling. But I think I just want to start out the Spider-Verse guys. I forget Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They are fantastic directors and writers. They are able to mix like genuine humor and genuine like emotional like deep emotional moments like intertwined with each other. Like they did it with Spider-Verse. I knew watching Spider-Verse. And did they do the Lego movie? The Lego movie's a little less. I think they did the Lego movie.
Not that I know of, but I might be wrong.
I'm pretty sure they did the Lego movie.
I don't remember for sure who did.
Or was it the Lego Batman movie they did?
Oh, no, I think that's what it was.
Let me see. No, yeah, Lego movies Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Okay.
Lego Batman is Chris McKay. So I don't know who that is. But yeah, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, hit and miss in terms of behind the scenes stories about like work environment. But they are they can make really funny and really emotional movies at the same time, and it's not Marvel humor. It's not like it's not cringe.
It's not slapstick.
It's like, yeah. Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is, and it's really good slapstick.
Sometimes it is. Yeah, sometimes it is, and when it is, it's very good.
Yeah.
Also on the point of it being along the same vein of humor and quality as the Spider-Verse movies, the composer of the music is also
Daniel Pemberton,
who also did the Spider-Verse music, which makes the soundtrack fantastic as well.
Yeah,
amazing soundtrack.
Daniel Pemberton might be my favorite composer that like actively mixes like synth and orchestra. I think Tron Legacy might be my favorite like mixed soundtrack of all time, but Daniel Pemberton can get really, really close to Tron Legacy.
And that's a pretty remarkable feat, honestly, because the Tron Legacy soundtrack is very, very good.
And you are very, very white at the moment.
I am white. I'm having some screen moments, but it's okay. Everything's
anyway.
fine.
Where do we even start? It's
Yeah, I don't.
We could just say this is an amazing movie. Go watch it and just leave it there. But we won't. We need to make an hour and a half long podcast
end of
about
the episode.
this.
We don't need anything else. End the episode there. We're just go watch it now. No,
I guess this will be the point to say if you haven't seen it and you want to go in spoiler free, then I guess click off here. That there you go. That's the full podcast episode. But
yeah,
but for the rest of you, we need to extend this to another. We've been recording for 5 minutes. We can extend this to another like hour 25.
Yeah. I think very broadly the thing that I love about it, and I share the sentiment with a lot of media recently that I've really been enjoying, is that it's innately hopeful.
Yes.
Yes. I think in nature, which I really, really love.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons, a completely different piece of media, but that's one of the reasons I really like Invincible as well, is because like, especially over something like The Boys. I have never been a fan of The Boys. I've watched like bits and pieces of it, and it's just not something.
I haven't seen either because they're both super gory.
Yeah. Like, and it's not because of the blood or the gore, because I can handle the blood and the gore of Invincible just fine. It's that The Boys is very, everything sucks, everything's depressing, nothing will ever change, and everything is useless and you should just die. Like, that is like the vibe of The Boys. Invincible is very hopeful. It's very like, it's very real in a sense that like things go wrong all the time, but there's always something on the other side. There's always something that can be fixed. And with with people, the right people doing the right thing, things can get better. And that is like the tendency that Invincible has. And it's very much the tendency that Project Hail Mary has, because like we are slammed at the very beginning of the movie with like this like super aggressive showing of how deep the stakes are.
Yeah.
With the astrophage and with how frazzled Grace is at the beginning of the movie, like having literally, like we find out at the end that he's literally drugged and forcibly put on the ship because he's the only one that they trust to put on the ship to do the job, and he doesn't want to go on. And it's like, these are really extreme events that are really bad and like threaten the humanity's entire existence. Really bad stuff.
The sun is dying. Like the sun is like worse than Interstellar almost. I think like I don't know. Interstellar's kind of got a similar thing, but like. Yeah,
I mean, both Interstellar
this very much felt like a spiritual successor to Interstellar in a lot of ways.
But I mean, both of them are very much just thinly veiled representations of global warming and how we like need to do Hail Marys and put a lot of effort into stopping it. It's like it's kind of obvious in that sense, but it's like it's done. It's kind of interesting in Project Hail Mary because it's just like, what if global warming was actually the opposite? What if it was global cooling? Question mark.
So Andy Weir said that the one scene he regrets not making it into the movie from the book was in the book. There's a point where they decide to nuke the ice caps in order to instigate global warming. So he said, but he says it's like in the book, it's like a really kind of tense situation. It's like, okay, you bring the idea of nuclear weapon. Like we have lived for the past 80 years under the fear of a third nuclear weapon is gonna be dropped somewhere.
Nuclear Armageddon.
You know? Yeah. Like nuclear weapons are terrifying, and is like anytime even to the brief suggestion that one might be used is enough for there to be like existential dread. And so in the book, it's apparently a pretty tense situation where it's like, we could use this to help give us some more time and to help warm up the earth a little bit, but like, you know, we don't want
there's
to.
No reversing it.
You know,
there's no like once you've used nuclear weapons to melt the polar ice caps, you can't unmelt the polar ice caps with unnuclear weapons. It doesn't work like that. So like if they do find a solution, I'd imagine I imagine the dilemma in the book would have been then like, if we do find the solution to the astrophage problem and we've already used the nuclear weapons, then we can't bring the world back to its equilibrium before.
Well, I think it's more like, you know, there's the why Batman doesn't kill is because if he allows himself to have that as part of his toolkit, he will never stop using it. You know, I think part of it. I think part of the tension in the book was like, even if we use a nuclear weapon for 100% scientific, you know, good thing, you know, we've still dropped a third nuclear weapon on the planet, and it's like, I guess there's more than the two.
Weapons,
yeah, I was about to say there's more than the two we used in war.
Tsar Bomba was exploded. It just wasn't. It was just exploded in Siberia, so nobody cares.
Or like or Bikini Atoll, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's still like we have used nuclear weapons, period, and this is not something we want to make.
That's opening the floodgates.
Yeah, we don't want to open this thing. But yeah, I love what you said about like hope in like movies recently. So it even in like terms of like the superhero genre, like we had Superman, like we had Superman, we had Fantastic Four, and we had Thunderbolts. So Thunderbolt, out of those three, Thunderbolts is the only one I've seen. I saw that one in theaters with a bunch of friends. Thunderbolts is so good because on the surface it should be very dark. It should be a really dark, like anti-hero.
But it's all anti-heroes.
This is a movie about anti-heroes who have all done. You know, you've got ex-assassins, you've got like current assassins, you've got like you've got this thing,
you've got the former face of the Soviet Union equivalent of Captain America. Like
you've got Soviet Bucky. Captain America, you've got failed Captain America, you've got the Winter Soldier, and you just have this group of like dark anti-heroes, and the whole movie turns out to be one of the best movies about mental health I've ever seen. And it's a Marvel movie.
Fantastic.
It's a Marvel movie in 2025. It's like, how?
how have you managed to do this? Yeah. Speaking from me having watched Fantastic Four was also a very hopeful movie. How do I explain this? Fantastic Four was there was this particular scene in it that I think really like hammers home like why it was hopeful, is because the main ultimatum with Galactus, obviously the main villain, was you either give up your child now to to Reed and Sue. You either give me your child now, or I come to Earth, destroy the planet, and then take your child. Like, that was the ultimatum. And they decided, no, we're going to find a way to fight back. We're not going to sacrifice our child to save the planet. We're just going to protect both. And they do. And it works. Like, if it was a more cynical movie.
What's the line?
If they were more cynical.
What was the line in it? Was either Civil War or like Age of Ultron. It was like, we don't trade lives.
Yeah.
What was that? It was that kind of thing. Yeah.
It's basically that. If it was a more cynical movie, and if the characters were more cynical, they would have just done the rational thing and said, yeah, lesser of two evils, have our child, Earth is saved, end of movie. But they didn't do that, and they still won. And it was really like good can prevail in every sense. Lesser of two evils does not have to be the only option, which is really, really nice. It was a really nice message to see, I think. And yeah, so I've been happy to see that this is appearing more and more in media, because I think it's really needed right now. I think people need to see less of The Boys and more of Invincible. For lack of a better term. I think it's I think it's really helpful for people to kind of be exposed to media that gives them positive messages about the world, even if it doesn't give, even if like the media is not like, here's an exact, like, here's a ballpark plan of how to fix every problem on Earth,
Yeah.
because it's not going to happen. Even if it's just like, most of them have been where it's like, there
People can be
is
good,
hope.
you know? Yeah. Well,
People can be good. There is hope.
It's something I noticed when I watched it, but I wasn't able to like articulate until someone else online articulated it, and I was like, "Yes, perfect." It was the fact that like when humans' first contact in space was not with like an aggressive army, like military
like
force.
Spacefaring,
It
like
was
warfaring species.
It was realistically, if you're gonna meet another member of another species in space, they're gonna be a nerdy, geeky, you know, like adventurous adventure. Yeah, they're gonna be nerdy.
Like,
they're gonna be geeky. They're gonna be adventurous.
The
people
people that we meet in the middle of space, I say people like loosely, aliens, extraterrestrials. Yeah. If it ever happens, which I think it will at some point, I think it's kind of inevitable. But if it ever happens, the people that from the alien species we meet most likely are going to be just as curious and kind and intelligent as the people we send into space, if not more so. Like, and the people we send to space with NASA are like the best of humanity, like quite literally the best of the entire species. Like, there's no,
which is not necessarily what happened in Project Hail Mary, which is something we can talk about in a second. True. But yeah, just like real. But even then, Grace is like still a super nerdy scientist.
I would argue that he is, and he just doesn't acknowledge it.
He wasn't self-sacrificing until the end of the movie, but he was still in that position because he was someone who was already a genius in this subject
and intelligent and cared a lot, and he had a lot of the properties that were required already. He just needed the little extra push or injection or whatever you would want to call it.
I also love that he's a school teacher. I think school teachers don't get a lot of respect, but like, you have to be one of like some of the kindest and like and
most patient people
patient people in the world to be in a position that pays so awfully, and like
and still do it for the love of the
be
game.
Like a elementary school or middle school teacher. You have to like enjoy being around kids and be patient around kids and want to give them the best start they can in life, So I think the fact he's a school teacher who also just happens to be like this, well, not happens to be, he's a genius in the subject, and he wants to teach it to other people, which is why he's a school teacher. I think that's just a great like mix of traits for this hero. And then you kind of strip it back a little bit and you realize he's not as self-sacrificed. Like he's not brave. And he learns that throughout the movie, It's kind of like, apparently it's kind of a massive reveal that he was forced onto the ship and did not choose how to.
I was stun locked.
Because you see throughout these flashbacks that he's like, clearly not super, clearly a bit selfish, clearly a bit like, what's the opposite word for brave? Cowardly. He's a bit cowardly.
I don't even think he was cowardly. I just think he was a little. I think he was a little unsure that he was even the right man for the job.
Yeah.
I think initially, whenever they were like, "You need to be the one to get on the ship," he was fully convinced that he could not do it, and they needed to find someone else. I think he was fully convinced that like if he was put on the ship, he would be the reason it failed. I genuinely, I think that was his mindset. And I think part of it was self-preservation, sure, but I think another part of it certainly was like, you need to find someone else because I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, I do
And
not have the training.
The scene I keep thinking back on.
Win this.
The scene I keep thinking back on is when he meets the astronauts that are gonna go up, and he's like, "Guys, you guys are amazing. You know, you guys are so brave. How do you do it?" And they said, "You just have to find someone to be brave for." You know, and eventually that person becomes Rocky for him. But you know, it's one of the core messages of the movie is like, of just the story in general is like, everyone is capable of greatness, and whatever that stimulus is to get greatness out of you might be different for different people, but it is there, and part of our goal is to try to figure out what that is for us, figure out what that, whether it's self-preservation or whether it's someone else, to like be good and do good for, you know.
Yeah. And I think it was most shown like Grace's character arc actually kind of through Rocky, because something I really liked that I noticed was whenever him and Rocky were first interacting earlier, there was a point where Rocky said like his species equivalent of brave and tried to call Grace brave, but they didn't have the word for it in the database yet, and so it just came out like and then he had to type in brave, but he didn't repeat it, so he never, like, you never actually heard it in the computer voice for Rocky, him saying Grace, you are brave. And it wasn't
that little moment
near the very end where he actually says it, and Grace just kind of, he doesn't try to deny it. He doesn't try to like, he says it as a joke at first, but then he actually does say it genuinely. Rocky, I mean. And then Grace doesn't try to deny it at that point anymore, but he also doesn't like, he doesn't go like, oh, well, of course. Like, that's not, that wouldn't make any sense with the progression. It would just be, he's gotten to the point where he realizes he is braver than he thought he was.
Mm-hmm. I love that little moment too, where
did
like
it intentionally or not.
I love that little moment too, just like in the situation of like, oh, we don't have a word for this, you know. I love that little moment where like he has to even in a small little way admit to himself that he is better than he thinks he is, even if he doesn't like fully believe it until the end. But like that's one of the moments where it's like, you know, that was such a great little piece of filmmaking, piece of storytelling. I'm not sure if it was that way in the book, but just silent visual storytelling that was like, this is a really, really good moment and a really clever way to make this point about his character and where his mind is at this point, you know.
I think it's also really cool, and this kind of ties back into that, but like the fact that he was approached because he had really radical ideas about how life wouldn't necessarily need water or carbon, and he was dismissed by the entire scientific community. He was shunned kind of, and he was a school teacher because of it. So he had this kind of mindset of like I know I'm smart, but like I'm a failure. I'm not like everyone else thinks I'm crazy.
I ride a bike to work and it's not for the exercise.
Yeah. And but then he's approached to study the astrophage because they think, well, it's living on the surface of the sun. There's no way it can be made of water. We need someone who thinks that this is a possibility. And then he gets into it and he analyzes it.
Yeah.
It's almost entirely made of water.
Yeah.
So then he's crushed again. But then he goes into space. This crazy mission that he didn't want to be on. And then he meets Rocky, who's a rock-based, like, solid,
I believe,
organism that makes ships out of solid xenon, which is a gas, which was a big moment. He's like, this has got to be broken. This is not xenon. This is a solid. Xenon's a gas. This has got to be broken. Like, he's going crazy because he's like, how is this possible? He calls it xenonite because he has doesn't have any idea for what else to call it. But by meeting Rocky, the thing that he, over the course of the beginning of the movie, was most overshadowed by in his life, the thing that like the theory of like life could exist without water,
Is
that
proven
everyone
in
else thought was ridiculous. The first thing he finds out there is non-water based life form.
Which
Like
I
that's
think
the first
in the
thing
book
he finds.
I think in the book it actually is confirmed that Rocky is water based.
Oh really?
Yeah. I
That'd be
think
really fun. But still, but even
I listened
still,
to it, but like yeah, watching the movie it's like, oh, he's proven right, you know.
yeah. But even still, like it is not life in the sense like I think his general proclamation was that life does not have to be life in the sense that we understand it. We should not be just looking for life in the Goldilocks zone that like the Earth resides in,
or the Star
right?
Trek or the Star Trek aliens. We're not looking for Star Trek aliens. We might
We're not looking for humanoids. We're not just looking for humanoids. We're looking for things that are not like us. Not like us. But like literally it's the first thing he finds is an alien that like he would never have imagined before. And he's immediately encountered by this thing that he thought could be possible, but never had the confidence to fully like back his own beliefs on. Mm-hmm. He never had the confidence to stand up and say, no, this has to exist. Like instead of getting on his soapbox and saying it over and over again back on Earth, he just fell into the shadows, right? Like that's and then he goes outside of Earth, and that's the first thing he encounters. Which is I think that's also really important because it's like I think that's also partially like trying to go into his mind a little bit. That might also be partially why he's so fascinated immediately, right? Because he's like, I was right. He's like, wait, I have to know more. I was right. It was I think the whole early encounters between Grace and Rocky are really indicative of that. Both
on Bamboo Studio, on like the community page on like the Bamboo Studio, I actually found someone made like the little doll Rocky makes at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, that's cute. I could probably print one of those out. I've got like a silver filament. That'd be really cute.
One thing I didn't
are amazing.
Oh yeah. The puppetry in this movie was so good because if you didn't know, Rocky was made by a mix of practical and digital effects. But but the puppets were really, really good.
It made it feel very like physical, like all the movements of Rocky, like tumbling around and like kind of like there was near the end where they were on the sand and like every couple of steps Rocky like sunk a little bit into the sand and had to like pull himself back out, and then like sunk a little bit more and had to pull himself back out. Like that was like, this thing's actually made of rock and has a very heavy, like dense footstep. So like of course he would fall into the sand a little bit because he's not as flat-footed. He's just kind of like swoop. It felt very like, it felt real. Like it's so much about this movie is it felt real, and it just it did it so well.
One thing in the book that wasn't in the movie, or I saw some fan art of it on Instagram, so I'm not even sure if it was in the book at all. But when Rocky breaks out of his ball to save Grace, you know, Rocky's environment is extremely hot. You know, he needs to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said it was ammonia, and so gaseous ammonia would be. Like hot gaseous ammonia would be like in the hundreds of degrees Fahrenheit, probably.
So I think it's a thing in the book where when Rocky saves Grace, he actually leaves a burn scar on him, and it's kind of like but it's like Grace like kind of keeps it as like memory of his friend, you know. It's kind of like a kind of a
Yeah, I don't know if that was in the movie or not. I didn't.
They
see
might have
it,
visually. They might have put it on there like with makeup, but like they
but not like
reference it.
directly acknowledged it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I don't know. That would make sense to me. I mean, because I mean, if the environment that he is in is that hot, then Rocky himself must also be at a much higher ambient temperature. So even after he gets out of the ammonia environment, he'd still be really warm for X
Mm-hmm.
amount of time. Um,
Yeah.
that scene where Rocky got out, I was
And he like
near convinced that Rocky was gonna die. I was
yeah,
like,
I thought it was like just gonna be disintegrated. Like he
yeah. I was really worried for a bit. 'Cause even after like it was shown that he had managed to get back inside his enclosure, like the fact that he was like,
I thought he would have just died in his closure. Like he managed to get back, but he didn't make it. Yeah,
but didn't make it. I was just worried that like it would end up being where he was back in the enclosure, and then Grace says like, "Sure, I'll watch you sleep," and then he just like that was just a anagram, not an anagram. That's not the right word at all. A
metaphor
analogy for
analogy?
I'll put you to rest, like goodbye Rocky. Like
Mm.
when he said I'll watch you sleep, I was like, oh no. I was like, alarms were going off in my head, but it was fine.
Yeah.
I was really scared for a bit there, but
I love all the like things where it's like they have pretty much equal technology in terms of like, you know, they can both go through space, but they have very different ways of doing so. You know, you've got like, you know, because they you know, Rocky and his species, they echolocate, they can't see. One thing I didn't catch when I watched the movie, but when I was thinking back, I was like, oh, that's why they did that, was when Grace goes on Rocky's ship and Roxy like plucks the string or whatever, and the whole ship starts like vibrating. I was like, oh, that's a cool visual. Watching the movie was like, oh, that's a cool visual. And then thinking back after watching the movie, was like, oh, that's how he sees. That's how he walks around the ship and figures out where he is.
You pluck the string and then you see everything kind of boom, and then you get a big echolocation signal. Yeah, that they don't have to make themselves. Really smart. I think it was really interesting.
Or was it they didn't have understanding of relativity,
radiation,
which is
or
relativity and radiation. Well, yeah, radiation is a big one, but relativity as well, which is why Rocky had extra fuel.
Relativity, they had extra fuel, so because they didn't really understand how much they needed exactly to get, which is probably why their ship was bigger than Grace's, other aside from the fact that they had more crew. But that's probably part of the reason why it was such a large ship compared to Grace's. And radiation, which is why everyone but Rocky ended up dying, because they didn't know that they were going to hit by cosmic background radiation and just...
No, it wasn't cosmic background radiation. It's because they put the living quarters right next to the astrophage engines.
Oh, I didn't catch that part. That makes sense.
Yeah. Because the astrophage is insanely dangerous, you know?
Yeah.
It was...
I mean, that killed the science team. Just...
Well, what was it? They accidentally put a... they accidentally
used 1 milligram instead of 1 kilogram.
It was a milligram instead of a kilogram.
It was a milligram instead of a nanogram.
Or no, nanogram? Or what's a kilogram?
They had ordered a nanogram and they had been shipped a milligram, and they weren't prepared for it, and they tried using it anyways, and then everything exploded.
I thought it was a kilogram, but I thought it was like just like one step up.
Which
but like
it was like a
still like 102,000 times more in order of.
Yeah, it was like less than a gram of stuff that they had, and they melted like a metric ton of steel or tungsten or whatever it was in like a second.
I think it was aluminum.
In like the demonstration. Was it aluminum? Doesn't matter. Whatever metal was, it just flash heating and melting any metal that fast. That's a lot of power.
Yeah.
That's scary amounts of power. which is, I was really impressed that they were able to make something called an astrophage engine that quickly. I was impressed by that. That was my nerd brain going off. But I thought it was very
Andy Weir
interesting
talked
that
about it. Andy Weir talked about it too. It's like, if we found, theoretically, like, it makes a whole lot of sense that if we find, and we did it with nuclear energy, we just like, if we found an extremely dangerous source of energy, we'd find a way to use that energy as well. Like, it would be a blessing and a curse in disguise. And that's what we did with nuclear energy. We used nuclear energy for weapons, and then we turned it into renewable energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was really cool. I mean, we touched on it, but I think even within the technology that they had, it was really interesting that both the Iridians and the humans had really advanced ships. Like, and yet they were advanced in completely different ways.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like they evolved in different ways, so they had different they had different tools to get to where they were, but they still got to the same place.
Like, Rocky was able to scrap together with like a crystal and like a bunch of wiring a device that allowed him to see screens using the
Braille
giving him
style,
echolocation. Frequencies on like a little like rock wristband that he made for himself, which is just like, the fact that he just scrapped that together with parts they had laying around was crazy. And the fact that he can just like hand fabricate pieces of metal with the xenonite that he can just like
Grace said he was
it's crazy.
Well, Grace said he was a mechanical engineer. In our world's terms, he was a mechanical engineer, so he like could do stuff like that where but that's crazier than what we can do. Imagine having the ability to strap 3 printers to your hands and just like because they're so hot it's like
well, I mean, they can handle that because they live in ammonia, but like not even just the thermal limits. But imagine having the mental capacity to fully visualize a 3D shape, and with like 2 hands at once, like sculpt that very quickly with like strings of plastic and like wrapping them around each other and and then you build something. It's not like you make a file and then you have a computer slice it and then you have it printed out for you. You just build it on the spot with your hands, like with the geometry that needs to exist. That's crazy to me. And I'm sure there are people who could do that if they had the technology available to them. But like, and I'm sure like Rocky was like the smart guy that they sent him up there because he was smart among the Iridians, I'm sure. Yeah. But it's just crazy that like, there's like technologies that you never even imagine that they would have, but then you think about it and then you realize, oh yeah, they also don't have plastic. It's like something that to us is so like everywhere. Of course we have plastic. It's plastic. And it's like, just because that's not the environment that they have, like plastic would just melt in their environment. So they don't have plastic. They don't even know what it is. They're like,
no,
or like he picks up a tape measure and he's just like, and that's another thing.
Glass, like, they make glass out of xenon. It was like and
that's another thing. And it's like, you think about it, and that was a critical flaw of their construction as well, because the amoebas, I forget what the name that he gave them were called, that they found on the planet.
Oh yeah, what were they called?
Figured out how to get through xenonite. And since everything was made of xenonite, it was a massive problem. But with like on the Earth ship, if it had escaped from the xenonite, it would have, like for Grace, it just escaped the xenonite and then he was able to contain it again. They couldn't do that on Rocky's ship because everything was xenonite. And that's another thing where it's like, you realize like that's not just a oh yeah, it's different because they have different construction materials. It's a flaw because the only construction material is xenon. Like that is a genuine flaw of the construction of their ship, and an unexpected one for sure. Like that's not one that they would be able to predict, but like still, that is a potential problem that became a real problem. So it's like it's not just that they are smarter than us and that they have a bigger ship and they can do more stuff than us. It's like they pretty much equally contributed to the effort of figuring out what the astrophage was and how to stop it, which was really cool. It was really, really cool to see.
Yeah. Same level of technology, but different realms of technology. Yeah.
Yeah. Completely different applications. It was cool.
I rewatched I rewatched the original Rocky last week. Just randomly. I was wanting to watch Rocky, so I watched Rocky. And then watching this movie and seeing like the references was like so cool. It's just a fun coincidence. It's like
Rocky, not the fighter, not that one.
And like naming the planet Adrian was like, oh, that's so nice. that was such a nice little moment. Because they were gonna name it after Rocky's mate, and obviously they didn't have a word for it, so Grace called him Adrian because
Adrian.
Yeah.
I liked the immediate reaction of just is beautiful. It was really nice. I really liked the way that they made the robotic voice for Rocky speak as well, where it's like most of the time it was phonetically and grammatically like good, and then you got other things like amaze, and like or like the detail where it's like you couldn't quite get the tone of voice necessary to understand if something was a question with a robotic voice.
Yes,
so he would say something like, "Is this problem?" question. Like he would end the statement with question so that it was clear that it was a question. Like that was a really neat detail, and I really liked that. It's just this movie was so good at showing the limitations of the technology that they had and showing how they got around it. And showing how it was complemented by the technology that Rocky brought as well. It was so good. It was so good.
A fun story I heard about the scene where they're trying to figure out Rocky's voice and they're like playing with a bunch of different text to speeches. Was like apparently his kids were like on set. His kids were like the ones doing the different voices, which is why he was like laughing and stuff because he was like. He was like hearing his kids do different voices before they actually found like voice actors to do it. One of the voice actors that did one of the voices was the reader for the audiobook. The narrator of the audiobook is one of the voices that they were running through. And then the Meryl Streep one was I think it was just an ad lib. I think it was just an ad lib. Like, oh, Meryl Streep, she can voice anything. And then they were like, let's call it Meryl Streep, and they got her to actually do it.
That's funny. I like that. She can voice anything. Get her on. Hire her. We need this for the bit. We need to give Meryl Streep money just for the bit. Keep the bit going. I thought it was cool too that it's like, I mean that was an example, I suppose. Like that scene was an example of like how human technology in some ways was better than Iridian technology because they were only able to do that and to make that communication device with the human technology. Almost none of Rocky's technology helped with that. It was entirely Grace's efforts to like start translating,
machine learning, words, and
keep translating, inputting words, building the like strap on like computer setup that like he could carry it around to translate like as he was speaking. It was like that, all of that was human tech that Grace scrapped together. Like they would not have been able to do that if they were on the Iridian ship. Because that tech wasn't there. And I mean, Rocky he was a mechanical engineer. He wasn't a linguist. I don't think like,
okay. Apparently the linguistics in this, in the book are pretty unbelievably sci-fi. like Andy Weir does a lot of like really hard sci-fi, but apparently the linguistics linguists kind of have pointed to this movie as like, you wouldn't really be able to translate at all Like,
Yeah, you would. Yeah, I mean, if you made a few critical assumptions, I think the way that I imagine they would first go about it would they just be like point to a thing and then say he'd be like, "What is this?" And then he'd hear a word, he'd hear like the same sound a couple of times, and he'd like take that chunk and he'd be like, "Okay, I'm gonna say this is this," and then hope it's correct. Like that's what you would have to do.
Well, I think the idea was that like, I think the idea was that that linguistics have pointed out is like they evolved in like completely separate environments. Is like, you know, just the concept of words and sentences is like a very human thing. Like
That's
other
true.
animals on this planet don't really have the same concept of like communication. They will have like alarm noises, or they will have like mating calls and stuff like that. But like the concept of a language that you can translate and to have words and sentences that mean the things they do is kind of almost exclusively like a human thing. And so I think linguists have looked at this and was like, realistically, they wouldn't be able to talk at all, but like it makes the story way better. It's one of those things where you can just like hand wave and make it the most sci-fi you can, make it the most like, you know, try to make the most out of it.
You can also make the argument. I mean, there's also the other end of the argument there. You could make the argument that if you have a civilization that's advanced enough to create complex technology and be spacefaring and get to the point in civilization where you can construct things deliberately in such a social environment as well. You're such social.
If you have an advanced enough species,
deliberately, you can.
They might come up with the idea of language.
If you can create instructions for things, language is the best way to do that. And if you're getting to the point where you are building things to progress society, you have to have instructions to build those things. So the argument would be that like you have to have something like language and speech and preferably writing to support that progression. And I mean that you could make the argument then that that's why humans communication is better than anything else on Earth, is because while like other creatures might be able to do like alarm sounds and like general like calls that mean different like vague things, because we can express very specific ideas in a very intended order and communicate a lot of very dense information very quickly with language. That is why we're able to learn and progress as quickly as we
and
have.
Coordinate as much as we have.
Yeah, and coordinate as effectively as we can. So like finding any other species out there in space that can do that probably would have something kind of like language at the very least. That's kind of where my head would go with that. But like, again, that's like infinite possibilities. Literally anything can happen. But like, you know, logically that could be an argument to the other direction as well. Because if you have infinite worlds, infinite possibilities of different types of life, then who's to say? Of course, who's to say that a sentient, smart life can't evolve without language? But also, who's to say that language can't independently pop up elsewhere as well? Like, doesn't have to be exclusively human either.
Yeah.
That's
just something I saw that was like slightly more far-fetched than a lot of the science Andy Weir usually does.
Yeah. Although I would argue that Astrophage is a little bit more sci-fi than being able to communicate linguistically with extraterrestrials. The concept of a water-based subbacterial life form that's a cell that can survive on the surface of the planet and creates Petrova lines between suns and planets to reproduce and eat stars, and contains mass amounts of energy that a milligram of which can explode an entire facility and kill dozens. Sounds a little bit more far-fetched to me, but
the one I've heard most common for some reason. That's just the one that's like made it to the top of like the complaints about the science in this movie is the linguistics.
I
guess
if you're gonna complain about something, I guess with the movie, you're not gonna complain about the thing that the entire movie revolves around, because then what are you even doing? So like, yeah.
Well, okay, if you think about it,
I get it.
If you think about the thing is the relationship with Grace and Rocky is what the movie revolves around. You know, there's a difference between plot and story. Is one of the things that they teach you in writing classes, because I've taken a couple of writing classes. And, yeah, like you can like plot and story are two like interlinked but like very separate things. You know,
that's true.
Like the plot of the plot is the events in, you know, a just straightforward, you know, analytical point of view.
Astrophage bad.
This happens, then this happens.
Need to get rid of astrophage. Send humans to get rid of astrophage. Humans meet Iridians who also need to get rid of astrophage.
Yeah, and then the plot of the movie is
astrophage.
Yeah, the plot of the movie is like an astronaut meets an alien and then they work together to solve this problem. The story is the friendship, the friends they made along the way.
Friends they made along the way. Yay! Yeah.
Anyway, what else about?
Speaking of, I do have something very specific.
I don't think we touched on the visuals.
We didn't touch on the
visuals.
No.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh yeah, because this is related to the plot and story. This is gonna be short though, because I don't remember a ton of it. I actually listened. My dad sent me a TED talk like a week ago or something about Andy Weir. That had Andy Weir in it. I don't think it was a TED talk. It was some kind of interview podcast episode that he listens to. Talking to Andy Weir, asking him about his creative process and like how he comes up with ideas for his stories and how he writes them and how he executes it on them. The interesting part about it was that he was talking about how he does not like writing. He does not enjoy writing at all. He hates writing, actually. He finds it a slog. He likes the daydreaming part of it. He likes the thinking of ideas and the coming up with concepts. But he was talking about
and figuring out the science and stuff.
That as well, because that's like he was talking about, is like that's part of the thing I really enjoy, is like finding parts of the science that like kind of make sense and that a little bit of a stretch but like are reasonable, because like that's the kind of thing that when I'm looking at media, that's what I appreciate, and I know there's people out there who would also appreciate it.
He did a podcast with why is my brain going Dwayne The Rock Johnson? That's not who he is. No. Who is Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's who.
Yeah. Star Talk guy.
Yeah.
Completely
Star
different
Talk
guy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you got Dwayne The Rock Johnson from that.
It's like 2-syllable middle name kind of. I don't
Neil
know.
deGrasse Tyson, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I guess so. Okay.
Yeah. It's the same.
Sure.
It's the same rhythm of a name.
Ends with son at the end. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, Neil deGrasse Tyson on Star Talk, he was talking about how when he writes, he imagines Neil deGrasse Tyson looking over his shoulder if he's ever tempted to like hand wave something.
That's funny. That's kind of the vibe I got from the thing that I was listening to as well. But like the thing that I remember he was talking about specifically with Project Hail Mary is that Project Hail Mary originally was a bunch of separate ideas that had nothing to do with each other. Like he said that his idea for something like Rocky, where like it was a rock, like it was a life form, but it was a rock, and it had like a couple of appendages, but it was just a rock with a couple of legs. Like that was a completely separate idea from the idea about the astrophage and the idea of Grace as a character and the like the concept for what the ship was like. Like these are all completely separate ideas that he had and had written down at different points in time. And eventually he got to the point where he would kind of like combine them together into one story. But it didn't start out that way, which I thought was really, really interesting. Because it's like, I was like, Yeah, I guess you wouldn't have to just like think of the story and then think of all the details about the story. You could think about like all these weird, random, detailed concepts, and then just
and build a story
how
out
can I
of
make
it.
this a
Yeah.
story? Yeah, I thought that was a really cool way, and I think that might have been, I think that might be part of the reason why it feels so detailed, because the story is literally built out of individual detailed concepts that he had beforehand. I just think it was a neat kind of fun fact about Andy Weir's process, I guess, that I listened to even before watching Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, there was a
Just
podcast
something
I
I
listened to
remembered.
who was talking about like the process of like figuring out what the Iridians would be like. Um, and
Yeah.
so he actually talked about how he based so Tau Ceti is a real star, like that system
Mm-hmm.
is a real system, and as well as the Iridian's planet, I forget the name of
Iridia.
it. It's just Iridia. Okay.
I think it's just Iridia.
But yeah, he talked about how he picked out the planet that these aliens would be from and then built life forms around them. So he was like, okay, how do we have a water-based life form on a planet that I believe it was, the planet was closer to its star than Mercury is to ours.
Yeah.
So and and I think he said that they are kind of like ocean deep sea creatures. The reason he came up with the echolocation is either the planet doesn't have a lot of light, either has like a super thick I think he says it has a super thick atmosphere, so on the surface there's like no light. So the reason the Iridians are these crawling crab-like creatures, he said he explicitly based them on crabs, because crabs are bottom feeders on the bottom, like crustaceans on the bottom of the oceans, on the bottom of the ocean with no light. They are these like bottom feeder kind of creatures. So that's how he came up with like the crab-like shape. That's how he came up with like the feeding, like the mouth on the bottom. That's how he came up with like the claws. He said they were based on like crabs.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the heat, I believe he said it was all about pressure. It was in order to have water-based life on a planet that is so incredibly hot, he needed first off a gas that would remain a gas at like that kind of temperature. What was he? He needed a atmosphere that was incredibly pressurized to keep water, because water boils when it. Fun fact, I learned this from my chemistry teacher. If you throw water out into space, it actually boils instantly. If you were to go into space without
so low that I can just
the transition from solid to liquid to gas it's not about heat, it's about
not
pressure.
just a temperature thing.
Yeah,
it's actually not about either temperature. It's actually not about temperature or pressure. It's about heat, which is actually different. And this is coming from someone who just took a thermodynamics class.
Yeah,
so you go. On this. Yeah. So the state of a solid liquid gas is actually not about temperature or pressure. It's kind of about both. It's not direct. It depends on what state it's in. If you're a liquid or a solid, you're incompressible, which means that pressure does not directly affect your density. Only heat does. But if you're a gas, then both pressure and temperature can affect your density, your specific volume, which is the inverse of density. So essentially, if you have liquid water, you have there's these lists of every element that you can get your hands on, where they list the state and the density of every like type of gas or liquid, like usually steam or water or condensed water, or other things like ammonia. Like there's ammonia tables as well, where you can look at this pressure in kilopascals and this temperature and what state is it at and what's the density. And you can get that down to the like 0.000001 just from like tables you can look up online, and it's very, very accurate. And so by knowing what the pressure and the temperature is, you can get and also a constant based on what the substance is, which is called R, it's the gas constant. You can then get what the specific volume needs to be, which is just, again, the inverse of density. So if you have temperature, if you have a really, really high temperature, you can cancel that. You can essentially cancel out the ratio of a high temperature, which would normally cause something in our atmosphere to vaporize. You can cancel that out by also having a really, really high pressure, which keeps it condensed despite the
ratio.
Temperature.
The ratio is the important bit. And if the ratio goes out of sync, out of whack, then you get a solid liquid gas like change. The thing is, it's kind of just, so I learned this from my chemistry teacher. Fun fact: if you go out into space without a spacesuit, you don't freeze, you boil.
You boil, all of the insides boil away, and you just go.
Yeah,
your blood boils actually first. That's the first thing that goes.
but yeah, basically the higher pressure allows you to have a liquid stay liquid, even with the greater amount of heat. So on Iridia, because the planet is so close to the sun and so incredibly hot, you need an atmosphere that is so dense. And that's why he said, I think it was like 24, 25 atmospheres of pressure, I think is what Grace measured.
Which would be like 26,000 kilopascals.
Basically Iridia's atmosphere is like 25, the pressure on Iridia's surface is 25 times Earth's. And that's what allows water to stay liquid at that amount of heat. But it also means that you don't have a hydrogen atmosphere, I believe, because water is hydrogen and oxygen gas. So the reason the planet's air is made of ammonia is because that was one of the few gases that would still stay a gas at that heat and that temperature. I think he said nitrogen was another. I think he said he was choosing between either ammonia or nitrogen, but ammonia just sounded like it would be more sci-fi, kind of cooler, because we have tons of nitrogen in our atmosphere. So he was like, we've already got nitrogen in Earth's atmosphere. Let's do ammonia because that will be cool.
I'm looking it up, by the way. The critical temperature at about 26,000 kilopascals, which would be about 26 atmospheres, to vaporize water at that pressure is 438 degrees Fahrenheit or 266 degrees Celsius. So very, very hot. But if we look up ammonia, critical temp to condense at 2600 kilopascals, your temperature needs to be 139 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you are above 139 degrees Fahrenheit, but below 438 degrees Fahrenheit, that's where Iridia can exist.
Liquid water, but
where you have
liquid water
and
gaseous
ammonia. Yeah, exactly. So you can have anywhere in that range is where Iridia would be at that pressure. And you can have both things. You could have liquid water and gaseous ammonia at that extreme temperature in the 200, 300, 400 degrees Fahrenheit at 2600 kilopascals. Which is awesome.
But yeah, that was like just super cool. But yeah, it was like super cool. It's like he took the real life planet and worked from there to make his alien. Yeah. And it was super cool. Yeah. So that's why, that's why
like the creative process.
Yeah. And what I guess I don't know where solid xenon fits into this, because that feels a little bit more sci-fi, but
This is Solid Xenon ?
Yeah. What would be the conditions for xenonite? Because xenonite is still able to exist in space. Like the ship is still made of xenonite in a vacuum. So you would think even if it was like the situation on the planet was like perfect for solid xenon to exist, it would not carry over into a spaceship, right?
Okay. I just from Reddit here. They explain it in the book, if memory serves me, that the xenonite has layers and microscopic fractures. It's not a perfect solid. The Talmiba were pressing themselves into walls and those cracks as tightly as they could to try to survive from the nitrogen. This let the nitrogen-resistant ones to have developing ability to navigate the microscopic structure.
Let's talk about the
generations could fit themselves completely inside the imperfections. Yeah, but like
that's talking about the Talmiba, but not like how the xenon was able to be solid.
I'm gonna okay.
How let me see. How does xenonite exist in Project
Xenon
Hail Mary?
Solid. So you have to fight. So because
okay.
xenon's a noble gas, you have to really fight its tendency to want to stay apart from other xenon atoms because it has a full valence electron shell, which means it doesn't want to bond with other atoms. So you'd have to somehow overcome that natural repulsive force between xenon atoms.
Okay, what I'm finding is that that was a hand wave moment from Andy Weir. He doesn't explain it. It's just one of the sci-fi moments.
Well, here's the thing. There is actually a phase change for high pressure xenon. If you don't want to use extreme cold, you can use extreme cold. You can freeze xenon and cause it to condense and then eventually solidify. But above about 0.5 gigapascals, which is 5,000 times atmospheric pressure, so higher than the theoretical
higher than Iridia by far.
Planet of Iridia. By far, if you keep squeezing, the electron shells will overlap and actually become a metal. So that part is accurate. And it will conduct electricity and reflect light.
So it's
also
it's
base-centered cubic.
It's saying it's not 100% solid xenon. It's a chemical compound.
Yeah.
So it's a chemical compound that's not explained in the book. So yeah, the xenonite is a mix of it said like liquid xenon and some other things to like make a, something like steel. Steel is not a steel is not an element.
Composite.
It's actually created. It's a composite from iron and
mostly carbon.
Carbon. Yeah.
It's carbonized iron. So it's essentially more carbon you have. The more carbon you have. So essentially with steel, you take sheets of iron and you're implanting carbon between the iron atoms to harden it. And if you do it too much, then it becomes brittle. But if you do it too little, then it's a little too soft and malleable, like regular iron. And you get something like wrought iron or wrought steel. Pig iron, for example, is like usually lower, unless I'm getting it backwards, but pig iron is either too much carbon or too little carbon to make steel. Steel is like that nice sweet spot. But I imagine with the xenon, they'd probably like do the same thing where they're compressing part.
It said the base was liquid. It's actually liquid xenon, not solid xenon.
Yeah.
They're
doing some level of compression
mixed with other stuff. Yeah.
They're doing some level of compression to manufacture that part of the xenon and then surrounding it and containing it with other substances. And they're modifying its base state to keep it a liquid and to keep it to make it keep its shape, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Which
what I'm seeing
definitely sounds like a hand wave, but like theoretically is
Well, what I'm seeing is that it was intentionally made vague because it's supposed to be one of those alien technologies that like we don't have. Just like they don't have a concept of radiation, understand. we don't have the concept of xenonite the way they do. So it was intentionally left blank, but like barely explainable. Like it's a liquid xenon mixed with other stuff that turns into this super strong thing. I'm not going to tell you how they made it. But
because I don't
theoretically,
know. Yeah.
theoretically, something like
the
this could
writing
exist.
is only as smart as the writer moment. I don't know how you'd make that. Don't ask me, says Andy Weir.
Anyway, okay. Last thing because my camera's gonna run out soon. I want to talk about the visuals because holy cow, does this movie look incredible?
Looks so good.
And one of the things they did was they actually used an anamorphic lens. So an anamorphic lens, I think I've explained this maybe in like the Interstellar episode when we were talking about like
I think you had
gravitational
before.
lensing.
Yeah.
We were talking about gravitational lensing, but like an anamorphic lens allows you to. It's a specific lens that's like squeezed and like shaped in a specific way to allow you to put a like 23 like a widescreen image on a 4x3 piece of film. So that's how you get stuff like Lawrence of Arabia or whatever that was made in like the 60s and 70s, where everything was being shot on a 4x3 film, but you could still get ultra wide movies, and that's because of anamorphic lenses. Anamorphic lenses squeeze a wide image onto a 4x3 piece of film, and then when they're projecting it, they have a lens that does the opposite, that takes the 4x3 image and de-squeezes it.
Unsqueeze it, yeah.
But basically, they for the IMAX. So for a lot of movies, IMAX is done by just like instead of so for a lot of movies now, to get that widescreen image, you're basically just shooting like a full frame and just like cropping it in post, for kind of a fake anamorphic look and view. And a lot of movies will use real anamorphic lenses, but a lot of times we're using like spherical lenses. You'll like crop. And for IMAX, that's the case a lot of time because you want to keep the visual the vertical height. But for this movie, they actually shot this for IMAX with an anamorphic lens turned 90 degrees. So the movie is actually the movie was actually shot like kind of like vertically, like a TikTok or whatever, like with an anamorphic lens. It was shot like a TikTok, but like compressed, for IMAX.
Yeah.
So basically they want to make an IMAX movie without having to without sacrificing. I don't know. Basically, they took an anamorphic lens, they flipped it sideways and shot the movie kind of almost vertically, so that they actually had way more image on the top and bottom than they would do on the sides, like you would on a standard Hollywood movie. And so, but it also means that they had some like cool light things. Cool light rays going, like when light goes through an anamorphic lens, it kind of bends in cool different ways. If you'll notice, it's called bokeh. It's called bokeh when something is out of focus. The shape of it, like if you look at an anamorphic a movie shot on an anamorphic lens and you see like lights in the background that are out of focus, if they're circular, you'll know that they shot them with like a normal spherical lens. But if they're like ovals, if they're like an oval, I'm trying to do this with my hand. If they're like an oval that's shot with an anamorphic lens because it was originally spherical, but then they squeezed it in. So they actually like squeezed the circles and made them oval-like. And so the opposite happened with Project Hail Mary. So now a lot of the bokeh is actually like horizontal, like a football.
Interesting.
And there's like other cool lighting effects and stuff. But also, they used color. A lot of movies are afraid of color these days, and this movie used color, and it was
a lot.
Great. It was so good. It was
really
so
cool.
Good. Obviously,
you've got the
GIF I keep using of like
red.
Yeah. There's the GIF I keep sending into the chat of like they're taking in the Talmiba, whatever, above Adrian, and it's all like pink and whatever. He's like visualizing
that
in
was
his head.
that was the Petrova line, right?
Was it? Oh yeah. They were on the Petrova
line. The Talmiba they had to go into atmosphere for, but the Petrova line was
well, that's how they learned about the Talmiba. They still collected a sample of Talmiba because that's how they found out it existed. That's how they found out it existed when they were investigating the Petrova line, and they went into orbit and crossed the Petrova line, and that's when he was imagining all the astrophage around him. But but also like the ship was like super cool. Like the ship was all glowy. They had like tons of like the pilot, like the pilot seat in that area. Like just all the lights and the screens were super cool.
Yeah.
They were swapping. They were doing one of my favorite things, which is like swapping the aspect ratio for like artistic points. So like on the flashback, in the flashback scenes, they were shot like with a normal like widescreen, but then everything else is IMAX, like in space. What else? It's been a week, so I'm trying to remember.
The sets were great. I think the sets were definitely part of the
sets were all cool.
There's
a Adam Savage video I have in my
navigate it.
Yeah, there's an Adam Savage video I have in my watch later. I need to watch that because he explores like the set that they did.
I think they did something really well that Interstellar also did, but not to the same extent. Actually, was they made space feel empty. Like there were some outside shots of the ships where like there's one particular shot I'm thinking of where it was basically just the human ship and it was really small in frame and it was just sitting with
in Interstellar
a background of in Project Hail Mary.
Because Interstellar is a really great shot when they're approaching the wormhole and they're passing Saturn and its rings, and you just barely see the tiniest dot of the ship like against Saturn's rings in Interstellar.
That's a good shot too.
That's a really good shot.
I'm even just thinking like you just in Project Hail Mary, there's a shot or two like whenever after he's just woken up and he's kind of getting his bearings, but there's a shot or two of the ship where it's just you see the ship in the middle of the screen and there's just nothing, and in some ways it's like, well, yeah, it's space, but also, yeah, that's space. There's nothing. Like that's kind of the point, and it was
like
shot in a way
when he's like zooming out on the map to see where he is in relation.
Yeah,
to
that's
Earth.
like he's like scrolling on the like little ball wheel that you do. That's like
the little ball wheel is like
mouse balls, but it's like on the bottom. He's like doing this, and he's scrolling. And he's like, oh, that's really far. Oh no, that's really far. It's like that was a good piece of comedy. I liked that one a lot.
Well, that's like a great mix of that's like a Lord Miller moment, is like comedy mixed with like emotion. Like that's like
really
he's
serious,
feeling like the most dread at the moment right now. But like they can throw it, they can make it a comedic bit and it still lands. And it's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I love all the long lens shots of like the ship like speeding through space. Like Interstellar, I think Interstellar is really great, but like I think outside of like the docking sequence, the ships don't really feel fast. They don't really feel fast. But like, do you realize going through space with no resistance whatsoever, you are going to be booking it. Like you're going to be going so fast.
And not even just that.
I love that they make it.
And not even just that, like that's for normal space travel as we understand it. They were using a hyper advanced astrophage engine using 2 million kilograms.
They're going near light speed.
They're going near light speed. They're using 2 million kilograms of fuel that a milligram of which can make an explosion that's like a bunker buster.
Yeah.
Huh? Like they are booking it. They are going so fast, and it's like, and you kind of feel that
like
also whenever like they're in the spin.
Like that? Is that what was it? 4 metric tons or something like that?
2 million kilograms. So it would be
2 million.
It'd be 2,000 tons, 2,000 metric tons.
Oh, I thought
you're not
it was
using
like
it all at
tons,
once.
Something like that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they keep saying that the amount that he needed to get home was 2 million kilograms.
Okay. Well, you saw the movie more recently than me, so I'll believe you.
Yeah, I don't know. But there was, and you also get the idea of like how aggressive these maneuvers are, with the spinning scene whenever one of the fuel tanks gets burst by and the astrophage is all escaping, right? and they're spinning and they're spinning and they're spinning, very reminiscent of the Interstellar scene where they're spinning a lot.
Yeah.
And they're all pressed up against, they're both pressed up against the wall.
I saw someone put the
he cannot get up. He's barely raising his arm again. Like he's not even raising his arm up from the panel. He's like just like sliding it along the panel because he can't raise up his arm. And it's like they are like,
yeah. I saw someone put the Let's Go Fishing from the soundtrack over the docking scene in Interstellar.
Let's go fishing.
Or no, what was it?
Really
Time
good.
Go Fishing? I think it's Time Go Fishing is the name of the track. I've listened to the soundtrack
fishing.
a lot, by the way, over the last week.
Yeah, I've listened to it a little bit as well. I think there was a really cool, and this was kind of partially visuals, but also partially just like the way that they set it up and like the harmony of it was really cool to look at. Was whenever they had not yet started communicating yet, but or they had barely started communicating, but Rocky figured out that Grace needed gravity to really function properly. So Rocky was like, "Go back on your ship. Let's do this." Rocky starts spinning his ship at the same way that Grace's ship would spin, and then they both are spinning the same way, and then it's like you get the tube that comes out and it's like the it's
like the 3D printed
they connect
thing tube.
Yeah, it was really cool, and it's just like it's not even like there's no crazy like way of shooting this going on or like representing it, but it's just like it's a shot that is just nice to look at because it's just you've got some harmony with the spinning going on here, but the two different objects, and it looks cool, and it's just
I love how this movie and Interstellar had different solutions for the fake gravity, because in this movie, in Project Hail Mary, they had like a part of the ship that would go. They had the actual living area of the ship go out onto the edge and then like position itself sideways so that when it starts spinning, you'll be standing straight up. But in Interstellar, it's just a ship. The ship is circular and the whole ship is spinning, and you have like 12 different sections that you can like move in and out of, but all have the same kind of fake gravity.
Yeah. Very distinctly different approaches
for like the same thing. Yeah. But I was trying to get earlier for like making the ships feel fast and like moving through space is they were using like these long lens shots to like follow the ships, like to make the ships like move across the screen really fast. Like the like a lot of the exterior shots of the ships in this movie felt like either whether it was like the star background. Well, okay, so an interesting problem that you get when you're shooting stuff in space is that the idea of speed is almost entirely the idea of speed is almost entirely visual based on what is moving around the object you're moving.
It's entirely relative.
Because if you're watching like Top Gun and you're following these planes, the thing is the plane needs to stay in the frame. The plane actually, like when you're actually like if you put your finger on the screen on the plane's really not moving all that much. It's everything around the plane that's moving. This is a problem you're seeing
the mountains whiz by the F-14.
You know that plane.
Like, wow, it's going fast.
The plane's not moving that much on
scale.
the frame. You just know how fast it is because of everything else moving fast. You lose that in space. That's the problem they encountered when they were making the original Star Wars and stuff like that. Is when you have an object in space, because stars are so far away, they aren't going to move very fast, so you need to be able to make a ship look like it's moving fast in space. You need to like whip the camera in certain ways to make the stars in the background go fast and to give that illusion. And they just did that really, really well in this movie.
Or alternatively,
or make the ship go across the frame
static and have the ship
move past the frame really fast. Yeah,
very quickly. Yeah. So you have to approach representing speed differently when you're in space, because you have to find
and I can't really put my finger on what they did.
Frames.
Yeah, and I can't really put my finger on what they did in this movie to represent speed, but I just know they did a really, really good job.
Something
noticed the ships were booking
in
it.
like the little chase scene between like when Grace was like, oh heck no, I'm getting away, and he's like trying to escape Rocky, and he's like making the ship like, he's not dodging and weaving, he's more tumbling more than anything else. But it's like, the thing that I saw them doing was they were making the ship fall in and out of frame, which was really neat, because it's like the camera couldn't keep up with it. Which was really neat, because it's like, it's also partially because Grace was not a pilot, and the ship was kind of like going off course and almost ramming into the Iridian ship, and then like, oh no, and then it goes the other way, and it's but you can also see the like there was a shot I remember where it's like Grace and the Hail Mary like speed kind of towards the camera a little bit, and then up and to the left, and then the Iridian ship just goes like boom, right past the camera right after. And it's like the camera's mostly static that whole time. It's like kind of like swirling and doing a little bit of this, but it's not really moving with the ships too much. It's like you're looking at it and it's just kind of changing its point of view a little bit.
Since the movie's not out, we're not gonna be able to put this visual on the podcast like at all. So you're just gonna have to imagine it. But
it's just it's essentially like, I think the biggest thing was that they kept the camera outside the ship mostly static. Oh, and your camera's gone. Speaking of cameras,
card full. Yep.
But yeah, it was really neat to me.
When we swap over to this one, that's when we swap over to this one on OBS. There we go.
But yeah, I think honestly, my favorite part of all of the visuals, genuinely, was when they were trying to get the Talmibas in atmosphere, and they were like at an angle in atmosphere, like barely on the edge of the atmosphere, with the fire starting to envelop the ship, but they were using the engine to push against like they were backwards using the engine to push against the like gravity and like away from the atmosphere, but they were still like creeping down. I thought that was really cool. Like they barely tried to get it in a position where they could like just like scrape their way down. And all the colors of the atmosphere mixed with the fire of the entry like heating, and and especially when they descended below the cloud layer as well, and then you saw a whole different, like everything became darker and very like aggressive looking, because it's like, oh no, we're in danger now, we're not supposed to be down here. And it became very obvious that they were in trouble. It was very well done. It was really well done. I can go on about this for a lot longer, but we really shouldn't.
Yeah. we shouldn't. But yeah, the movie's really, really good. If you haven't seen it, probably should have clicked off the podcast a while ago, but go see it.
Go see it. You'll like it.
It's gonna be a day one purchase for me when it comes out physically. It's gonna be instant Blu-ray in 4K.
Give it to me. Shut up and take my money.
Yeah. But it's such a good movie. One last little thing. What's his name? The security guard.
Carl.
This was such like a Carl. Him being the one at the end to like drug him is like, I was such a heartbreaking
moment. Or to
moment.
wash him while he's being drugged.
Yeah. He was like begging. He's like, Carl, don't let him do this to me. And Carl was just staying there. That was awful. That was like a heartbreaking moment for me.
He even said like, you're gonna do great. He was like, you're gonna do great, man.
Yeah, he was still being encouraging, but like it was like
Yeah.
It's like one of those moments where like yeah. It was like a betrayal that was like, that just really hurt. But anyway, but yeah, my camera's dead, so we are gonna finish. I shouldn't be looking at that one. I should be looking at this one. There we go. We hope you guys enjoyed. Hope by the next time we record an episode, I will have a haircut. So finally, and and Noah will be back from his Germany trip. So yeah, a lot of stuff will have happened. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye. Oh yeah, this.
Amaze.
Thing.